we have this magnetic field around us that radiates out. The brain has a magnetic field of only an inch or two. So, but your heart has a very large magnetic field. So it's actually what we're feeling inside is a lot louder when we encounter another person than what we're actually saying.
And we are going to learn about Heart Coherence. That is a space where science and mindfulness meet. For that, we have Mary Spaeder, who is a teacher of this topic. She is training nurses around the country and teaching them how to connect the heart with their mind, right?
That's right.
So we are gonna learn about it, but I also wanna learn how Mari has applied Heart Coherence in her own life. Thank you for being here, and we're gonna start knowing like what Heart Coherence means.
Thank you, Monica. I'm excited to be here, first of all, and I already feel my heart just expanding just being around you, because you're just such a special person.
Aww.
So,
Thank you.
So, Monica mentioned that I train nurses, which is true. And I started training mostly with therapists because I'm a physical therapist by background. And so that's where I started training, and then gradually working more and more towards being able to impact our nurses, because they have very difficult jobs, very difficult positions, and a lot of times a very emergent type of situations they're in, and they have to be able to access a steady state in order to be the best they can be for their patients and for themselves. So you asked me kind of what coherence is, and I would say in a nutshell, it's kind of a harmonic state, or a state of just balance within you. And the way we access that state of balance is through our hearts. And the heart, when we can access a coherent, what we call a heart rhythm, it actually balances our whole neurological system, and we can think better, we can have a better emotional state. So it's kind of the key to all of the balance within us right here.
But like many times we hear people saying like, don't think with your heart, like be careful, is the opposite what I am hearing from you.
Yeah.
We should really think with our hearts.
Yeah, the way I look at it, thoughts are kind of the language of the brain, and our emotions are the language of the heart. So we express ourselves here in the heart, and it's actually, your heart has a magnetic field that can be measured, and it's the very least of measurement is 3 feet around us. So it's most likely much more, but what we're able to measure, I mean, anytime you have electricity, you have a magnetic field. So it's not something that's just made up, it's actually a measurement. Yes, science. So we have this magnetic field around us that radiates out. The brain has a magnetic field of only an inch or two. So, but your heart has a very large magnetic field. So it's actually what we're feeling inside is a lot louder when we encounter another person than what we're actually saying. So I think we've heard the expression, I didn't hear what you said because who you are spoke so loudly, or something like that. We actually speak with our presence and how we make each other feel much more loudly than what we say to each other.
So what I am understanding is that our heart is really the energy that we bring to the room. That's how we should understand it.
That's a good way of thinking about it. It's your center of energy that you're bringing into any situation that you go into. Whether that energy is harmonic or not, you're still bringing it. Yeah. So when we're in a chaotic situation, maybe we had woke up late, we had a difficult drive into work, and we come into our workplace or our home without resetting, you bring that energy into the people around you. So all of a sudden you'll start to notice other people, aren't feeling as good, or the things. We work in my industry in a lot of teams. So when you go into that team in a state of disharmony, you're impacting all of those other people, and in patient care, you're actually impacting those patients without even realizing it. because you're not in a state of coherence within your heart.
So being in a state of coherence means that you are, your heart is in a specific rhythm, or how you will describe being in a state of coherence?
Yeah, great question. So the actual heart coherence, and I study with an organization called HeartMath, and they're kind of the pioneers in all of this. And I got to do a certified training with them. It's an amazing organization that's been around for over 30 years, and they have pioneered a lot of the initial studies into what we hear today as heart rate variability. If you have an Apple Watch now, or even beds measure it now, you'll get a reading called a heart rate variability. Many people don't really understand what that is, and it's they get this reading and it's kind of like stepping on a scale. It's like, okay, I have a weight now. What do I do with that weight? So heart rate variability is the measure of the little beat to beat time differences within our heartbeats. So our hearts beat like maybe 70 beats a minute. In between those beats, your heart speeds up and slows down. Tiny rhythms. Those beats make a rhythm. And so this is what we measure with coherence. We measure the rhythms of the heart. So it's really fascinating science. And that's, I think, what drew me to it at first, because I think we can be very skeptical about the heart, and we can be, oh, is it really all that powerful? And you understand the science of it, and it's almost like science is catching up with what we kind of intuitively know as being this power center within us.
That was one of my questions. When we feel intuition, is that heart coherence, or is a difference between what is your intuition and when your heart is in coherence?
Ooh, you go deep on this right away. Intuition is fascinating, because intuition is actually, as you start to understand that state of coherence and that balance within your neurological system, you start to understand some, I guess, the intuition sometimes I think of as nudges, or just a hunch that that's the right thing to do. As you access this state of coherence, those nudges get a little louder. And one of my favorite, the HeartMath instructors are either scientists, they're cardiologists, they're an amazing team of group of people. And one of the scientists who taught me, he's actually one of the original researchers at HeartMath, but he would call it my large. So he would say, when you hear those nudges, that's your large. That's your higher self saying,
wow,
this is probably the right thing to do. But when we're in a chaotic state in our nervous system, we don't hear this. This is, it's almost like that quiet whisper, and this can get really loud. And if we learn to just go here instead, we get those louder and louder nudges the more we practice it.
I'm gonna go a little deeper on that because I love it.
I knew you would.
So we talk about heart, now we are talking about intuition. Will that connect us with synchronicity?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I think that my thought is that you start to notice the synchronicities more because you're aware. You start to wake up to what's going on around you because you're in a state of balance. And when you're in a state of balance, you tend to attract that energy into your life, that more states of balance. When you are just, a beautiful way to go out, get into coherence without doing anything at all is just to walk in nature without headphones on and just be aware of your surrounding, because it has a natural way. The trees, birds, everything else have a natural way of getting us into a state of coherence without us having to do a whole lot. So that's a beautiful way of just attracting that into your life. But I love that idea of, absolutely, the more we're able to be in a balanced state, we attract other people into our lives who are also the same. I believe that too.
Wow. So that was amazing, because I think when I started, I was thinking a lot in the heart, but as you talk, I've been connecting, the intuition, synchronicity. I think all of that is really connected, because then our life starts happening in an easier, calmer way, right?
Yes.
Instead of this stressful, in fear space that you don't know what's coming and you're always alert.
Absolutely.
But how, you talk about chaos, right? How we can maintain heart coherence in the middle of chaos.
That's, yeah. I think it starts with, the thing I like about learning the HeartMath techniques I've learned is that you start to access the state of coherence on command. So it's, you know, typically when, okay, for example, I do a lot of presentations in my work. When I used to present before understanding more about HeartMath, it was it was very difficult for me because I would get very scared and being in front of people. I think that's a very typical response. The more I've learned HeartMath, I'm able to access that while I'm speaking so that I can think better because I can create that coherence within my heart. So it's like, you know, being able to be in the eye of the hurricane just by focusing on your heart. Even when you're talking to somebody, even when you're in an argument with somebody, even when you're in a traffic jam or whatever, you know, we can't control the stresses that are around us, but we can control how we respond. And this is a wonderful tool to help you just learn how to respond.
So anyone can access to this tool.
Yes.
Like the mom that is walking with her 3 kids,
Yes.
and she has to get them to school and she has to take the other one to dance,
Yes.
right? So, and you need to go to a space and balance yourself or getting heart coherence, or you can do it in the middle of driving with your kids or going to work. Can you do it anywhere, or you need a specific time to do that?
So the beauty about this what HeartMath calls quick coherence technique, the beauty of it, it's not meditation.
It's not meditation.
It's not.
And what is the difference between heart coherence and meditation?
Yeah, so I would say the difference is meditation, you're probably accessing a state of neutrality and you're turning off your thoughts, and you're probably, I'm not a meditation expert, but this is my understanding. Whereas HeartMath, you are purposefully shifting into a state of coherence. I think HeartMath can enhance meditation because once you purposefully shift into a state of coherence, you can then probably access a state of neutrality with meditation a lot easier.
Yeah, because someone that we love so much, Joe Dispenza, also talks a lot about heart coherence.
Yes.
Right? More in his latest meditations, I have seen that he's been incorporating more and more of that.
Right.
So, but how will that work? If I am going to a meditation, will I connect first with my heart?
I think it's a beautiful thing to do before you meditate. I think it can easily balance your nervous system so that you're more easily able to access what meditative state you're trying to achieve.
So it's a minute. Can we do?
I would love to. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I follow you.
Yeah. Beautiful. So I'm gonna let's just do it. Okay.
Let's just do it.
So I usually tell people when they're first learning, either close your eyes or look down at your hands, because what that does is eliminate all the extra sensory input that we have around us. So go ahead and close your eyes. And the first thing I want you to do is just focus your attention on the area of your heart. Some people like to put their hand on their heart. Others might imagine just a warm, beautiful light right in the center of their chest. Now, as you focus on the area of your heart, just slow your breathing down. A nice pace for you, maybe 3 to 5 seconds in. And out. Maintaining that attention on your heart, I'd like you just to bring up a feeling of maybe gratitude, maybe love, a renewing feeling for something in your life. could be as simple as a beautiful sunset or a warm cup of coffee, or it could be a loved one. For some, it could be an achievement. Try not to think it through. The idea is you're just bathing in that emotion, and you're allowing your heart to just feel that emotion and reset your body. Keep your breath nice and slow. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes when I teach it, Monica, for the first time, we forget what's right here. And sometimes it's the first time people have connected here in a long, long time. And a lot of times the response is just tears. Like, we forget what's inside of us, right, available to us. I think so many times, I'm guilty too, searching on the outside. What's my next book? What's my next teacher? What's my next, who's going to teach me how to be a better person? And we forget that all of that training is within.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's such a search for something on the outside, I feel like, so often. And, we search right here, and it's just, these are so many answers right here within us.
And why do you think so many people is scared of the heart?
Oh, yeah.
Why we go so much outside? Because I do feel some people it's very scared to go inside.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I think, we're kind of conditioned to be in a fight or flight stage from very early on, through, it's kind of built, hardwired into us through our autonomic nervous system is, we have these fearful situations and we react. The challenge is you react the same, whether it's a train coming at you and about to hit you, or you wake up late for work that day. It's the same fight or flight response. So that builds up over time. And if we don't learn, to cultivate the heart, and if we go through our lives, without learning that, I think the first time doing that can be a little scary. And for some people, even when I've done the first step of slowing down your breathing, they get very uncomfortable. They don't like the feeling. It's like, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this. And I don't have, my answer to that is you just start slow and you keep going there. And pretty soon you'll start to feel the connection. But for some of us, that takes a long time.
But let me tell you that since we did a minute, my energy has shifted completely. I was very happy and excited, and I still am.
Yeah.
But there is a softness.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It connects me so much with gratitude that it's a very I shift in your minute. I'm very grateful for that because wow, I can feel it in my whole body, and it took a minute. And
we did kind of a soft exercise just now. Now, one of my trainers who I adore, an RN, she works with Navy SEALs. She works with police officers. She's very active with working with these techniques with the military. Well, you can imagine going into a situation, you might not want to access that soft, gentle energy. For them, it might be accessing courage. I got this.
Oh, wow.
I'm enthusiastic. You know what? I'm going to save things today. You're accessing something like power. And that, you can shift that in a moment too. So you might have to go
I need that too.
Yeah. Maybe you have someone difficult you're working with that you need more courage. Well, guess what? The heart isn't all soft and fuzzy. It's there to access voltage too and strength. So we have many different things to access within the heart. So when we're training, Same with when I'm working with the nurses. When you're running for a code, you can't be, floating in this different state. You have to be like, I got this, I'm capable, I've done this before, and I'm going to do it again. And all those are heart qualities, and it's the same coherence. It's fascinating because when we hook people up to the technology, and we have some people that, nope, I'm going to go to gratitude every time because that's where I feel best. And other people say, nope, I'm going to go to that feeling of after I, like maybe an athlete, after I nailed that race or whatever it was, that's where I'm going. So we're all unique and different with but I always think of it like arrows in a quiver, because which arrow are you going to grab today? What do you need? Do you need to be more peaceful? Which arrow? Do you need more courage? Or do you need more, just even strength to speak up more? Maybe, I'm going to access that, that within my heart too. Yeah.
No, that is amazing, because I did believe, and you just shift that for me as well. Thank you for that. Another aha moment. Because I felt the heart was softer.
Yeah.
Right? But when you talk about courage and all this other power that you have inside that you can really bring up through your heart,
yes,
is powerful. Like, I don't know how else to describe it.
It is.
But I think we don't connect that with the heart. And
right.
I think that's why sometimes for some people the heart is no, you have to be strong, right? Don't go soft in your heart, right? But the strength can come through your heart as well.
Right.
So tell me more about your work, first at home, how you apply that in your home.
Yeah. So I've taught I have 4 children, and I've taught them all these techniques.
Are they receptive, all of them? Or?
Yeah, thank goodness they are.
Sometimes it's like, Mom.
Yeah, what is she up to now? Yeah, exactly. Well, the fun thing is, the way that I teach it, we're able to utilize the technology. So it's not me sitting there with them. A lot of times, so here's an example of a Bluetooth that, and trust me, you do not need anything to learn these techniques. But sometimes with our kids, they want the devices.
Yes.
So
no, we did it with the little ones here.
So they just connect, and actually the app is on their phone, and it'll walk them through the steps. And I'm like, all I'm asking is that you try it for a minute a day, try it for 2 minutes a day, maybe before you go to sleep. If you're having trouble sleeping, maybe before an exam. The fascinating thing with students, every student out there is a beautiful learner, but we all perform differently when we're under pressure. Some do very well, they enjoy that pressure, and some crumble. And so even though the knowledge is there, if you're not in a state of coherence physiologically, you can't access your thinking brain. It's actually it's like your frontal cortex shuts down. Like your ability to think shuts down when you're in fight or flight. So when you're in fight or flight, you might have the knowledge there, and you're just not able to access it because you're so scared of what you're doing. So students and kids learn these techniques so fast. I'm very envious. They shift so quickly because it's their natural joyful state. It's their natural way of being when they came into the world, before we teach them all these things. But so if you have children, they learn it very quickly.
Talking more about you and your life, I do want that you tell us the story, because I think that shows how connected you've been with your heart for so long. How you met your husband, right? Because that for me is the most beautiful love story ever. And that is a story of, connecting with the heart. Yeah. Because I don't know how else you can explain. Yeah. Would you share that with us?
Yeah, I can share. So I guess when I first met my husband, he was a burn victim. And we just connected very, very on. All I could see when I first met him was a smile, and it was just for sure just a heart connection. And it took many years for that to blossom and grow, and several years for that to happen, but it was definitely something that, I guess all love stories are like that, right? You just connect first with somebody through their hearts, and then you get to know them more as a person.
Yes, but at the same time, like going back a little to this thing that we are looking in the outside, many people today is looking for that guy that looks this way, or that has these, titles, or this kind of work that resembles success, right? And we are forgetting the real connection, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's for me why your story is so fascinated, because he was not in his huge moment. He was coming from a car accident, like going through a lot of challenge, but you found each other and you connected, and,
right?
And that, I always say, like, she has a love story that is beautiful and unique. And you guys are still now like 20 years.
Yeah, longer than that.
4 kids.
Yeah.
But where did you start like thinking about the heart itself? Like, what happened in your life? Were you always, since you were young, connected to all of this, or something happened in your life that pushed you to connect more with spirituality or heart itself? What is your story?
I've always been pretty fascinated with just spirituality and just going a little deeper. I was never a very good meditator, even though I would try and try. I can say through understanding the heart better, I'm better now than I used to be. But I think it's funny, I first got introduced to even just understanding the heart more just based purely by science. We were trying to develop a cardiac aftercare program, and the cardiologists were talking about heart rate variability. And at the time, that was kind of unheard of. That was like 15 years ago, and nobody was talking about heart rate variability much at that time. And so that's when I started really like, what is this? Like, what are they talking about? And that's when I connected for the first time with some of the founders at HeartMath and just said, the one thing that I loved that one of my mentors said there, when I called HeartMath, I spoke directly to somebody, and we spoke for 3 hours in a parking lot one evening from like 7 to 10.
God.
Because I was so fascinated. And I was interested in teaching our patients this. Like, let's teach them these techniques. And the one thing that Robert said to me was, hey, I heard you say one of your core values in your organization is customer second. And he said that you're going to want to first learn how to do this yourself. First, teach your caregivers so they can be better for themselves, and then they can be better for their patients. So it was, and that really resonated with me. It's like my whole goal was to first get to the patients, but now it's like, let's get to our caregivers, the ones who, need that connection, need that self-care, need all of those things to be better for themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you work with nurses and healthcare. Any company can apply that.
Oh yeah.
Any area.
Yeah. I'm mostly in their healthcare sector because that's where I do my training. But like I said, we have a lot of first responders who get trained in this. I think any company that wants to give back to their employees. And again, it's not about buying devices. It's about just teaching some of these basic techniques. And it's deceivingly simple. But it's an awareness of what state you're in. And, just even before going into a room, doing your heart-centered breathing. Even before sending that email, doing that heart-centered breathing.
Yeah, more people should.
Yes, that text
or
message.
that text.
Yeah. And I mean, 9 times out of 10, if I do that heart-centered breathing before I push send, it's like I either don't send it and reword it, or there's another layer of something that I was missing to help that person understand better. So it's almost like your large is telling you, don't forget to put this in there.
Yes.
And then you say,
I have felt it.
Yes, because it all makes sense in our head. And, and it's like it's like your best buddy telling you, don't forget something else. Yeah.
Yes. No, I learned this technique from a friend too, because she sends the most beautiful text messages, right?
Yeah.
Always. It doesn't matter, like she's super busy.
Yeah.
And I am more like on the way.
Yeah.
But I learned to pause and go back
Right.
and really introduce the text, because I think today we all text direct what we want to say.
True.
And yeah, no, thank you to my
Yeah.
beautiful friend for that.
That's
I think
beautiful.
it's important.
What a gift, right?
Yes.
And as I understand energy more and more, we are energetically connected with that text message to that person far more than just the words.
What do you
So,
mean by that?
Well, when I text you, and if it's without, if it's just a quick this, that, or other, you probably sense that disconnect. If I text you instead, thinking about you, thinking about this wonderful person, and send that text with love, it's going to be received differently. And I'm learning to do that even when, like, sometimes I have to send an email to a very large group. So I'll pause before I do it, and I'll do just a quick heart-focused breathing, and I just imagine the message going out with the best intentions and received with love. And to me, it's like one more layer that we can do for one another just to make this place a better place to live.
We need.
We do.
We do.
We do.
We do. So we have to apply that when we are texting people, when we are emailing people, when we are talking to people, right? What do you think about when people say, my heart has been broken? Do you think that can happen? Or
Yeah, I think, well, my thoughts are if your heart is your emotional center and your emotions have been hurt very badly, then there is probably an ache there that feels broken. And when there's something that happens in your life that deeply affects you emotionally, I'm sure there's something there that feels like it hurts. But the beautiful thing about that is you can access slowly different ways to repair it. And like I said, for everybody that's going to be different. I mean, we have certified instructors who have to actually work with victims of human trafficking or victims. So you're going there. It's very difficult to just come to a place of joy. If they've been through very difficult things in their life, maybe they can get to a place of just ease, though, and calm, and maybe peace. So when people are having, and I don't mean to make such a leap from human trafficking to just having a hard day, but when people, just bringing it back to our reality, when you're having a very difficult day, it might not be able to easily access that great feeling inside, right? Because you've just been hit with maybe some very difficult news, maybe something tragic in your life. But if we can learn to breathe in calm and ease, that can get you to a state of just turning off the fight or flight and just getting you into a better place to be able to handle the situation in front of you. And I think that's important, because I think we can beat ourselves up if we're not feeling that joyful state or we're not waking up every day in that sense of gratitude. That's okay. Just breathe in calm and grace for yourself for that day, and turn off that sympathetic nervous system that's going into overdrive all the time.
Yeah, no, I think that hits home a little, because I don't know, our generation, I think I grew up more like putting the feelings down and getting
For sure.
like to the happy place very quick.
Yeah.
And but for many years I really thought that was one of my gifts, right?
Yeah.
Because I could go very easily in joy.
Yeah.
But part of being authentic with your heart and really being in a heart coherence state is to recognize and acknowledge your feelings that could be, like you said, maybe today I'm not this shiny sun, but I am feeling emotions,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes.
important for the heart to feel the emotion, although it could be not a positive emotion.
I think it's for the heart to be able to just have that ease or have that feeling. It's so important. I think because our lives tend to be in fight or flight. It's just reality. We're more in the sympathetic nervous system all the time. So the more we can just tap into that, it's almost like you're biohacking into your own self in order to create that state within. And it's intentional.
Touch today is mental health and heart coherence, because there is so much anxiety in youngers today. Work also can affect your mental health. So how we can apply these techniques, or does the heart coherence can help with mental health?
Yeah, so a lot of times we think of being in incoherence where we're in like a angry state, frustrated state, we're yelling at people. It's pretty obvious that your heart rhythm actually becomes jagged when you're in those states of high heart rate and and high emotion. You can actually be in a state of very low heart rate and low emotion and also generate incoherence.
Oh, wow.
So this is where you think of depression, sadness, grief. All of those things fall into an incoherent heart rhythm. So the more that we learn, it's not just for training, anger or emotional responses those ways. It also can be used as a technique to train to come out of that state of depression and anxiety and sadness that we associate with mental health. And the idea again is that you're going to your heart and you're just, first of all, slowing your breathing down, because that gets you in a natural state of coherence, because you're doing what they call resonant frequency breathing, where you're doing an even breathing pattern. And then you layer into that a more regenerating emotion. So for that person in grief, it might be ease and calm and peace.
So if I'm having a panic attack, can I use the technique in the middle of it, or it has to
We've had lots of people say, it's funny, I hear lots of stories after I train people, but I had someone say they were in a situation with a family member where that family member started to have a panic attack and anxiety attack, and they actually sat down and said, focus your attention in the area of your heart and just slow your breathing down and walk that person through the technique. So another thing I hear is plane rides for some people can bring about a lot of panic and anxiety, and they actually do the techniques during takeoff and landing just to not go into that state of fear and to keep their self balanced when they are feeling panic. Yeah.
And I love that biohacking idea that you have when you mix essential oils with. Can you explain that? That's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite too. So for people who understand essential oils are directly linked to our limbic system, which is a very ancient, primitive system within our brains. And that sense of smell is, did I say essential oils or sense of smell? I think I meant to say the sense of smell is linked to the limbic system. Very ancient part of our brains. So the beautiful thing about essential oils is that they can override the fear and go right to our primitive brain without us doing a whole lot. So I carry like my little favorites with me everywhere I go. And just, especially like if I'm before a presentation or if I know I'm going into a difficult meeting, I know this in addition to the heart center breathing. Yeah, smell this one. This one's nice.
Which one is this one?
Well, this is actually a coherence blend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So we have a coherence blend.
Yes. One of my instructors actually makes the blends. I think it's called Sistar's Code Alchemy, but she does blends for coherence and things like that because she's a HeartMath instructor and she understands how essential oils work, but it's really fascinating. There's lots of blends that can work. Lavenders work nicely, but then you can also have blends that get you more amped up, and tap into that courage and that higher heart rate, but still coherent state that we talked about a little bit earlier in the discussion.
So you are using, because when we did this, the little exercise, or the not so little, it was beautiful. So we use the hands, right? So now we are using the smell. So when you use different scents to connect with your heart, will be that a pathway to biohack in certain ways?
I think it's a beautiful way, if that resonates with you, especially if you can remember to do something. I always think the first time you step outdoors for the day, and all of a sudden you breathe in kind of that coolness, maybe just put your hand on your heart and just right away do 10 seconds of just heart coherence right then and there. The really beautiful thing, Monica, is it accumulates. So the little bits that you do can start to impact what your baseline is. So things that you used to freak out at many years ago, you won't anymore. Like my older kids always say, my younger kids have a different mom, because they said, the mom that we had would get so upset, everything was a big deal. And the more I've learned these techniques, you just learn to respond differently to things in life. And it's a beautiful cumulative thing. And it's something, some people notice it fairly quickly. Some people will just be over time like, gosh, I'm no longer triggered by that thing that used to happen all the time, and I'd go off. Like it just doesn't impact me the same way, because you're kind of changing that baseline within your neurological system, and that's scientific. They have actual studies that show baseline changes in your coherence, so it's really cool.
So, what will be your message for today? What's your message? Should we prioritize heart coherence or heart?
I just feel like this is our way to be better human beings.
Oh, wow.
And better for one another. If we can, imagine if I were to tell somebody really anxious, go relax for 10 minutes, just go relax. It's very different, because usually if you take your time out and you go somewhere, you're ruminating on what just happened, or maybe you'll call someone, just say, can you believe what this person just did? All those things are continuing the pattern of incoherence. Maybe take that minute instead and go to your heart and breathe in a better emotion, or just take a moment just to even focus your attention on the area of your heart. By doing those little things, I just think we'll be a better humanity, better people for one another, and it's contagious,
And I don't think anybody that feels good, that is happy, will be trying to, be in war or do something to another person. I think just people that is really in a dark place are the people that want to hurt other human beings, right? If we take care of our heart and we are in coherence, we will not be, we will be better human beings.
One thing we know we can do is take care of ourselves. We can't, change everyone around us, but we can certainly do things to help ourselves. And by doing that, you impact others around you. They did one study in HeartMath where, for example, 3 people were in a room and they did a technique. So maybe me and you were in a room, we were doing technique. We had another person come and sit and join us, doesn't know the technique, just sits with us, and we hook them up to the app. We can put that person in coherence just by our state of being.
Yes.
It's beautiful, because we can impact people just by our energetic state when we're around them. And, I start meetings with the team I lead with heart-centered breathing. And before I go into meetings, I bring that coherent state, because I know maybe I can impact people who are in anxiety in that room. I don't know. But I know I can bring coherence to that meeting and be able to think clearer.
It's like, what are you bringing to the room, right? When you go there, when you go to your house after work, when
that's
you go
a big
to work.
one. Right, do we just rush in out of the car, pick up our purse and our bag and rush in the house?
I'm guilty that.
Or do we take just a moment and say, you know what? A couple minutes right here, and then maybe I won't, have a negative reaction to everything coming at me when I open that door. It's your control, your state of control.
Yeah, because sometimes, your family gets the leftover of the day.
True.
Right? And then many people goes to their house and it's just...
Yeah, we are all drained of our energy. We gave all of that at work. We gave all that wherever we were. And, it tends to be the family that we get aggressive with then and get angry with. And I know that was my house a lot of times growing up, if my father was in a bad mood, that was, the whole house was in a bad mood.
Yeah.
So maybe we can change that by just bringing in calm and putting yourself scientifically into coherence before you walk in that front door and see what happens. See how the dog reacts to you. Animals react.
Oh,
They know.
God.
Yeah, they know.
They know if your heart is in coherence or not.
Right.
Yes.
They follow us around.
Oh, thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Monica.
No, I hope we'll repeat that
Yes.
later on. My heart is happy
Me too.
and very grateful. You are a gift. Your friendship, it means a lot to me, and
feel the
I am
same.
always learning from you. So
Thank you, Monica. I
and
feel
your
the same.
energy is like amazing.
Oh,
No, thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.